So if you've been with me for a while, you know that I used to play basketball, and I still sometimes play basketball, but specifically during high school, I learned a huge lesson about momentum that I was able to apply to every area of my life. It was during my senior year. Freshman year through junior year, I had an injury that I wasn't able to fully recover from. But senior year was the year I actually started playing again. And our team was pretty good at the beginning of the year. Like during practice, we were going really hard. And then during the summer leagues, we were winning like every single game. It's like the team chemistry was so high because all of our players were there. We were having fun and we were practicing a lot, just going hard in practice, hanging outside of practice with each other. And the chemistry was really high. But during the season, number one, we started losing players. Some players started getting in trouble. Some players just got injured and the chemistry started getting lost. But even in the midst of us losing some of our players, since we had such high momentum, we were still winning games. Majority of these were the preseason games because these games really didn't matter too much. They're just the games before the season, just so we can get like practice in basically. We were going into different tournaments. We were winning. We went even undefeated in the tournament, went like 5-0. But that is where it started to get bad. Not only did people start looking at us like we were a good team, like they actually had to really prepare for us, but we also started getting overhyped. So because these were all preseason games, we were going into our regular season games, basically the ones that were really important, with a whole bunch of momentum with the wrong mindset. Because we already thought we were good and we're going to do good for the season. So therefore we got complacent and we stopped going hard in practice. We stopped sharing the ball as much. Therefore we were losing our chemistry. We tried doing our own thing. And because of this, when the regular season came, we call it district, but when the regular season came, yes, we won the first game. And that got our head really even more big. So we thought we could still be like a days of going practice. But then the next game came and then we lost. And then on top of that, we kept on losing. Now we have a momentum streak that's now going down. All of the momentum that we built up is now going down. And this was my last year of high school, but this stuck with me because it's such a life lesson. And now that I can see it from the perspective of this walk of Christ, it has helped me so much more because we all had a time where we're on fire for the Lord. We're spending so much time with him. We got a whole bunch of chemistry when we can read the word like it's nothing. Open up the book and just catch a revelation and it speaks straight to us. Or we go to church and the message is straight to us. We all have that season where there's a whole bunch of momentum that is helping us fight against temptation, that is helping us stay close to God. And we have that feeling like we just want to be close to God. But the thing is, that momentum can easily sneak away from you to the point where it feels impossible to get that fire back. Go from being on fire for God, doing everything for God, sacrificing your flesh and not giving in to lust, to now not even able to read your word, to not even be able to stay away from lust. You're in a constant cycle of going back over and over and over. It just feels like you're a different person because now your momentum is on the opposite side. You no longer have the momentum that you had at first, and life is lived off momentum. Because when you're in a season where you have bad momentum, where it just feels like everything is going downhill, it literally feels like every single time you try to do something good or pursue something good, it's like you're drowning. It's like you're in quicksand. You continue to get pulled down more and more and more. But it's also vice versa. Because when you are in a season where you have a whole bunch of momentum, now it feels like it's so hard for you to do the things that are bad for you. It's hard for you to give in to lust. It's hard for you to not read the word. And even if you do fall back into temptation, because you have such good momentum, it's like you can easily get those good habits back. And so that's why it's so important to learn how to channel your momentum to always win the battle against sin, to always be on fire for Christ. Because this is exactly what I use in every area of my life now. Even in basketball, I still use that when I'm playing pickup or rec games or playing one-on-one, no matter what it is. I use this in every area of my life. Because momentum is how I was able to overcome lust. It's how I was able to grow a relationship with God to the point where if I don't read the word, it feels off. It's exactly how you're going to be able to absolutely change your habits for the best. This is exactly what I use in my program and teach inside of my program, the exact system to be able to use momentum to absolutely change all your habits. And in this video, I'm gonna break it down biblically while also using real life experiences with my basketball season to explain it. The first way to build momentum is training and preparation. If you go into a basketball game or really any sports or anything in general and you are not prepared, if you have not trained, then you will always start off with less momentum. There are so many times where our basketball team went into the game thinking or not prepared at all, where we didn't go hard in practice or whatnot. And so the team was better mentally and they were better, a little bit better skillfully. So even if we tried putting in a whole bunch of effort, there would be fear in the way. We wouldn't be focused as much. And so therefore we would already start the game with losing that momentum. And that same thing is going to happen in your walk with Christ. The battle that you're going to go through, like lust, temptation, whatever it is, if you don't have the word of God and you're not prepared for battle, then of course you're going to lose every single time. You're going to lose that momentum. How we prepare in the spiritual is by getting inside of the word. It's by praying and having a good morning routine, because your morning starts the day. It sets the tone for the day. It builds momentum for the rest of the day. So if you're keeping God on your mind all the time throughout your day while you're busy, then it's going to be easier to fight at night against temptations. It's going to be easier before you go to school to fight off anger and different things like that. You're going to have a different level of peace because God is going to be on the forefront of your mind because you put him first. So when you know that, oh, I may be a little bit late to school or I may be a little bit late to work because I'm going to be really, really busy. If you choose to let that anxiety keep you away from reading the word and getting that alone time with God, then that's you putting the worries of this life over God. And even if you do get to the point where you have to go to work or you ended up doing something that make you late, it's still good that you find an alternative to keep God on your mind. Because when you really prioritize something, if you miss the word, that's going to be on your mind all day. It's going to be like, dang, I need to read the word. Dang, I need to read the word. Dang, I need to spend time with God. So on the way to work, on the way to school, wherever it is, you will be playing, your Bible app, no matter what it is, a Christian video to keep your mind on God. These are just little sacrifices that will be made to just train you for godliness. As it says in 1 Timothy, I think it's 4, chapter 7, verse 8. But it says to train yourself for godliness, because yes, physical training is great. You being in the gym and being disciplined is amazing, especially to fight off temptation, to have that discipline and use that energy that you have to build yourself into the person that you want to be. That's great. But if you don't train yourself for godliness, then you will always fall for the enemy's schemes. And so yes, prepare yourself by being in the word. Prepare yourself as though you're going into battle each and every single day. And the second way to build momentum is to take it slow and steady. Anytime that you panic when you're losing momentum, that is when you will continue to sink, because you don't fight momentum by trying to go really, really fast. And that's why anytime that a coach sees their team is losing momentum, just like us, we may have been like losing the game. We start off the game really, really slow, and the team that has a whole bunch of momentum, their crowd is going crazy. Anytime that happens, a good coach always calls a timeout. Why? Because if he doesn't, then we'll continue to throw up shots. We'll continue to try to run fast and go down the court instead of slowing things down. And then we'll end up turning the ball over, missing shots, whatever, and they'll continue to score. That same thing is going to happen in your walk with Christ. If you try to, I need to fast, I need to read the word. And basically you're panicking because maybe you fell into temptation. Maybe you missed a day in reading the word. Maybe you are really, really stressed about life and you just don't know what to do. What you need to do is take a timeout. You need to take a break and take it slow and steady to build that momentum back. Because momentum is built slow, but it can be taken away fast. But that's also why it says in Zechariah chapter 4, verse 10, that don't neglect the small things. Don't neglect the small beginnings. Because if you neglect the small beginnings, then you won't ever see the bigger picture. That's why exactly in my community, anytime that you have a 3-day streak, a 4-day streak of overcoming temptation, no matter what it is, you always celebrate that. You never belittle your growth. Or maybe you read the word 3 or 4 days in a row. You're praying consistently more. You feel more in tune with God. No matter what it is, always celebrate the little growth. When you focus too much on making significant progress in little time, that is when you'll get discouraged. And that's exactly what happened to us in basketball so many times when the other team was scoring a whole bunch and we just try to chunk up some threes to get that momentum back. And we always end up missing, always end up turning the ball over. But when you take it slow and you slow down everything, that's when the momentum will start to change. But the third way to start building that momentum back is by putting in effort. Because the reason why you lose momentum in the first place is because you started to lose that effort. So you need to start building that fire back, even if it's effort in the small things. Start putting in max effort. Start really focusing on the little things that you're reading, focusing on the little thoughts that you are getting in, and rebuking intrusive thoughts. Start becoming more aware of your surroundings, where you're putting yourself in, because momentum will come when you're consistently putting in effort. Even if it's small amounts of effort and it grows over time, if you're consistently doing it, that is when you'll grow. And I promise you, you can literally apply this to any area of your life, especially with temptations. If you actually start putting in effort to cut off things that may change your heart, to make you want to give in to temptation, like certain secular music or certain shows, if you put in the effort to do that, and then you start reading the word more, gradually start doing that, you will see yourself starting to grow in that area. One of my favorite verses to explain this is Matthew chapter 7, verse 7. It says, "Seek and you will find, knock and the door will be open, asking you shall receive." I might have said that in the wrong order, but it still applies, because seek and you'll find means you're actually putting in effort to find a solution or find somebody. Think about if you're playing hide and seek and you're looking for someone. That means you're intentionally looking in every area, and you're putting in effort to find that other person. Asking you shall receive means that you are genuinely wanting to change. You're genuinely wanting to find a solution, because you don't ask for something that you don't want. Anytime that you ask for something, it's something that you want in your heart. And then lastly, it says, knock and the door will be open. Knocking is being patient. When you knock on the door, you wait and you're expecting. And so that goes hand to hand with faith and perseverance. So when you do all three of these things and apply it to your life, that is when you'll actually start seeing that momentum. That's when God will start to answer your prayers. That's when you'll start seeing fruits change in your life. And then lastly, intentionality. This is mainly for when you already have momentum, because especially when I was in basketball season and we were doing really, really good. Like I said at the beginning, we had a whole bunch of momentum, but now we aren't fighting for that momentum. We're fighting to keep that momentum. And so we're fighting away from complacency. And that's just like your walk with Christ, or you overcoming temptation for a little while. You go on like 1 to 2 weeks, or maybe even a month or two, but then you end up going back because you got complacent. Maybe complacent, you didn't think it was that important to read the word. You didn't think it was that important to not watch that show. You weren't as intentional as you were in the first time. You don't think videos that you watch are that important to you anymore. And this is exactly what I teach inside of my program, to hold you accountable so that you don't get complacent, because there's so many people that struggle with this. And that's why they continue to go back in the cycles over and over and over again. The reason why you are complacent, the reason why you do get stuck, is because you're no longer looking for growth. You think that you're already good. And that's why I truly don't believe that comparison is the thief of joy. Because if you can compare yourself to someone who's doing better than you, who's working harder than you, that should motivate you. But envying is the thief of joy. When you envy someone who is doing better than you and you don't get motivated from it, you get angry at it, that is when you start to lose your joy. But one of the ways to not get complacent that I personally use in my life is comparing myself to someone who's doing better than me, someone who's working harder than me. I remember, especially at the beginning of my walk, when I was watching a video, I think it was of Mark the Messenger, and he was talking about how he reads just casually, like, oh, I read like 5 times a day. At that time, I was barely reading like 1 time a day. That convicted me so much, because I'm like, dang, I have people out here reading way more than me, and I'm complaining about reading 1 time a day. And so that convicted me, and it pushed me to want to read more. And that's why it's important to also have an environment of people who are pushing you every single day. Iron sharpens iron. Because now you can look at your brother in Christ and be like, dang, he reading more than me. Dang, he always talking about God. Dang, he's not listening to secular music anymore. All of these different things. And you start to compare your walk with their walk so that you can grow even more. And when you get to this point and you know that there's always room for growth, that is when you will consistently be intentional. You'll be intentional about the things you watch. You'll be intentional about the things that you say, intentional about how you read. Every little thing you will start to grow with. And as long as you continuously be intentional, you'll keep that momentum. And that's why my coach always told me to not let your foot off the gas. When you have momentum, especially in basketball, you should never let up, never get complacent, because you need that constant reminder. There'll be so many times where our team will be up like 20 at halftime, and then we'll end up going down and losing the game because we'll get complacent. And so you have to realize that this battle is constant. The enemy is always prowling around like a roaring lion, and we must endure to the end. And the word reminds us to not grow weary of doing good, because in due season, you will reap a harvest. If you need some accountability or need a program that's going to help you build those habits so you can become the man that God has called you to be, click the link in the description and apply to see if this is best for you. This is for people who are struggling with temptation, struggling with maybe an addiction to lust, and want to grow their mindset. And it's only for serious people. So if you're not serious about it, don't even apply. But yeah, hope this video was edifying to you. Hope this video was a blessing. And I appreciate y'all for watching. I appreciate all the support. And if you want to support, link is also down below. But if not, till next time, as usual, y'all stay blessed.